Torrential rains that began over the weekend and persisted through Monday have left a trail of destruction across River State, submerging homes, damaging businesses, and displacing hundreds of residents. Affected areas span across Port Harcourt and other local government areas, including Obiakpo, Emoha, Oyibo, and parts of Ogoniland. Residents in flood-prone communities such as Malwon, Rumokoro, Rokboku, Choba, and Ahoda have reported the loss of personal belongings, household equipment, and farmlands to rising waters. With movement restricted in areas like Rumaholo and Rokboku, business activity has ground to a halt, forcing families into hunger and uncertainty. Many residents blame the government's lack of preparation and failure to act on prior flood warnings from the Nigeria Meteorological Agency, which had identified rivers as a high-risk state for severe flooding this year. Despite this, waterways remain clogged, flood committees are non-existent, and awareness campaigns were not conducted. Victims such as Mr. Friday Mba and Ms. Omuju lamented the loss of livelihoods and the government's inaction in clearing drainage channels and desilting critical flood-prone zones. As parts of Delta and Cross River states have already recorded flood-related deaths, the fear of similar tragedies loom in River State. In response, the state government has acknowledged the federal government's flood risk advisory and announced collaboration with the National Emergency Management Agency to educate residents. It also warned against illegal land reclamation activities, vowing to prosecute offenders under environmental protection laws. However, civil society voices have called for more tangible efforts beyond public warnings. Advocacy groups are urging the immediate creation of internally displaced persons camps, noting that many vulnerable residents lack the means to relocate. With heavy rainfall forecasted until October, the urgency for decisive and sustained intervention grows by the day. Let me start with you, Mufasa. What do you make of this development? And in your area, did you experience any form of flooding?
I will start by saying that there is a popular saying, those who refuse to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Before I start talking about my area, I know that flooding has become a perennial issue, not just in this part of the country, but most part of the country. And we have failed to do the needful. In this case, I want to say there is enough blame to go around. I know that the government has bulk of the responsibility to ensure that the people are comfortable wherever they live. But in this case, we also have the people also, being complacent, because we have drainage system, both the ones that are open and the ones that are closed. And when people keep pouring, waste into the drains, and after some time, it gets blocked, and we don't desilt our drainage system, and then we get to see these issues coming over and over again. But talking about my area, of course, we experienced a flash flood, as the rain was falling, for like 3 days now, stretch. We've had constant rainfall, and most every part of Port Harcourt, was affected by the flash flood. And from what you just read, a lot of business activities was affected. There was serious traffic jam. If you're in your car, you have to stay in one place for hours. If you are expecting to get a car, maybe you are standing at a bus stop, you'll be left with no other option than to, trek down to your house. So for me, I want to also use opportunity to appeal to both the government and the people. We don't need to wait for something to happen again and again and again, then we become perpetual complainants. I said it's a perennial issue, and it's not as if it's rocket science to solve these problems. We have the Interwoba Creek, where we have properly channeled the drainage system down to those open drains. As the rain falls, the water just flows naturally into the big, drainage system. Then it moves down to the larger waters. But what we have now is a complete far cry. So the government need to do something. The people themselves also need to complement and also see how we can make our environment a safe and better place for all of us. It's quite it's a terrible experience. I must say, very terrible experience.
Right, very well. Govt Power, what do you make of this story? Did you experience flooding as well?
Yeah, definitely. If not directly, it should be indirectly, because we are all from River State, especially on Nigeria, and flood issue has been like a recurring decimal, you know, like my friend Mufasa said. The impact is mostly felt in the urban areas.
More than the rural areas?
More than the rural areas.
Okay.
It is mostly reported in the urban areas and more than the rural areas. I'm particularly concerned about this very issue because the Ogoni axis was mentioned, and I am from Ogoni.
Right.
Yeah, a report got to me about a couple of days ago that some of our farmlands in Ogoni were being submerged by water.
Okay.
And these are farmlands that there is cassava and there are other crops planted, waiting to be harvested. And people are going there to harvest prematurely.
Because of the flood?
Because of the flood. And now, I discovered that sometimes developments mostly cause the flood in the rural areas. Why? Some of our rivers that we used to go in those days, if you go there now, they have been narrowed.
Okay.
Because of what? Development. People are building houses, closing rivers, and making them narrow. So it makes the water flow to be limited. I know water. It must definitely look for its roots. So I'm appealing that going forward, people that are developing, especially in the rural areas, should ensure that those places that we used to call river should be allowed to be in existence. People should not be closing up our rivers anymore. And in the urban areas, it is not about, because I hear people being so peculiar and particular about the government of the day in River State. It is not particular to this government. I'm so happy that Mufasa used the word government and not the word sole administrator. I was explaining that he will accuse the sole administrator. But thank God that today he said he's a human rights activist. So now, the government has much to do. It is not about waiting during flood before you take measures to curb them. No, there should be measures, permanent measures put in place so that future occurrence will not be as much as we are experiencing. I think there was a time before this government, the suspended government, I think there was a committee set up for that purpose, which the deputy governor was the head of that committee, right?
Okay.
And we need to see things that were put in place to mitigate this flooding. Are you getting me? We need to see things in place. It's not by after we have recorded casualties, you see people donating and all that. On this note too, I must commend the NDDC, the River State chapter of the NDDC.
Yoruba.
NDDC,
Oh, okay.
the River State chapter of the NDDC.
Oh, River State
I think Chief Tuno Kocha did spectacularly well the last time we experienced flood in River State, donating boats and relief materials to communities that were affected. You know, you must not wait for government to make things work. You are from a particular community. You know your terrain. You know the cause of this flooding. We should give a good advice to the government, because the government will act on the system of that community. You know, I'm from a particular community. I know where that is being sealed up, or where that water used to pass in the time past and is not there anymore. These are the places that we need to open up for water to flow. You know, government is all about the people. So we mustn't wait until the government will take decision and as well implement. So we, the people, have to get involved, give advice to the government. This is my community. This is where we think that if we should work on this place, it will also help in curtailing these flood issues in my area. Right. I think that's it.
All right, now, first of all, I must say my experience yesterday, it started raining early yesterday. So the moment I woke up and saw how the cloud was, in fact, I had to leave my house by 5:30 a.m. to be sure that I will have to drive past NTA Road and escape NTA flood the moment it starts raining. Maybe one would say part of the reason why probably the government has not waking up to the current reality is because these floods over time, after the rain, it will just find its way and dissipate. And then when it starts raining again, the flood comes up again. But there are also areas where the waters they are now stagnated. And you see houses submerged. In fact, as you're driving past certain streets, you will see houses with water lines. You will know that this is where the water was probably before it receded and all of that. Now the question would be, again, driving around River State, one thing stood out for me was how dirty River State has become. You see wastes lying everywhere. It's as if the environmental agency is no longer working, like it's shut down. And I don't understand, because last time I checked, somebody was appointed to head that agency. Am I wrong? Someone was appointed to head that agency.
This administration?
In this administration, was someone appointed
I don't think
to
so.
head that agency.
I don't think so.
So literally, governance is at a halt in River State. So this flood issue now becomes a cause for concern. And in government reaction, what they're saying is that they will educate people and they are going to work against people that are attempting to, claim lands and all that, but no clear roadmap on how to combat this issue. You understand? So my question is, I am yet to see a clear roadmap from the government on how this issue is going to be combated. While you say that people have a role to play, the government is expected to do even much more, because the people are paying taxes to the government to ensure that their lives and properties are safe. What do you have to say to that?
First, Laurentia, I want to correct an impression.
Go ahead.
Government is not on the standstill in River State. There is government in River State. And why I made mention that the people have a role to play, like for instance, talking about waste on the street of Port Harcourt, there are designated areas and time for waste to be dumped in their designated areas. For my area, for instance, I live in Rumodara. There are places that government say that from so time to so time, drop your waste here. We come pick it up. And in my area, we are not experiencing any waste on the road. Okay. We are not doing that, because people are dumping their waste accordingly. There are areas that the people will live where they are supposed to dump their waste and dump it elsewhere. There are areas where that people will leave the time that they were asked to dump waste and dump it at their own time. Now, by that time, the people that were supposed to come pick up the waste might have left the street.
Okay.
Understand me? I'm not saying that, I'm not speaking for the government, but I'm also saying that we the people should also do our own part.
Right.
And on the part of government, I don't think there have been any time in this very government that they have appointed
you said so.
they have not been any time.
Yeah.
The one we heard was just a rumor, that I don't know where it came from then. Now, this government that we are now, you are very much aware that we are in a state of emergency. Understand me? And there are parastatals and places that we are supposed to mount to take charge that is not working. It's not working. So my appeal is that the sole administrator should urgently, before his initial 6 months will elapse, put measures in place that will help in looking into areas that waste has taken over the street.
All right.
Understand me? So that is
all right.
what I can say
Professor,
about that.
while Aba Gospel was speaking, you laughed. May I know why you laughed? You want to react to what he said?
You see, the question was direct. I mean, we have garbage littered almost every nook and cranny of Port Harcourt. And why are we having this experience? We are talking about flood and its effects on the people. And, the root causes of this flood, because this is a flood coming from rainfall. We've not started talking about the ones that we experienced when the Lagdo Dam will be, when the Cameroonians will release water from their dam. This is flash flooding, and in most cases it stayed for 2, 3, 4 days. And we all are very much aware that the adverse effect of dumping wastes on the roads, both on the designated place that waste are meant to be dumped, if the rain falls and they are not packed by those contractors who use compactor to pack those things, it washes into the drain, the drains. And if it goes into the drains, there is no gainsaying how such activities will block the waterways. But as we speak, nothing is happening in that regards. Government is at a standstill, like you rightly insinuated. In fact, I would say Rivers State is currently in a state of arrested development. I intentionally do want to talk about governance in Rivers State and the position of sole administrators and all of that. I don't want to breathe life into it because I don't believe in it. I feel it's illegal, I feel it's unconstitutional, and I don't want to talk about it. The people have the people should, because currently the position of the people has been relegated to the background.
How can you say it's illegal?
The people should,
how can you say
ordinarily have lion's share when it comes to policies of government and governance, if we truly operate a democracy. But currently what we have in Rivers State, what they call a state of emergency, and we have an imposition. The people don't have a say, because the person in government house today is not sitting there with the mandate of the people.
Don't say
He
the
can
people doesn't have a say.
comfortably say
You don't have a say, or the people don't have a say.
Can you please allow me?
No, put it rightly. You must put it rightly. Now don't say the people. Don't always
I did not interject. I did not interject while you were deputy. I should be allowed to complete my
No, you must put it rightly. Put it rightly.
Mr. Govt, please. Here one of the rules here is civility in conversation.
Good.
You had your say,
okay.
Even though he disagreed with some of the things you said, he never interjected.
Okay.
So when he's done, you will have your say.
It's okay.
Please don't interject.
It's okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead.
Like I was saying, that currently what we have in place in Rivers State is an undemocratic process.
Okay.
If we are talking about democracy, you cannot separate the people from governance. And in a true democratic setting, it is the people who decide and determine who should lead them, not an arrangement somewhere. Like I said before, recently I have stopped. I don't even want to talk about the position of who the sole administrator is and all of that. I don't believe in that arrangement. And talking about it is like breathing life into it. I just want to say today that if we want to have a situation where we don't want to be complaining about flood time and again, every year, now and then, we must do the right thing. I was glad when he mentioned people building on the right of way of water. These are some of the things I was even expecting to be put in the front burner, not the sole administrator.
Right.
People are building, people are developing on the right of way where water should go through. And we have a ministry of, urban and physical planning and all of that, that gives permits to developers to go and build. It is expected that if the city is truly planned in such a way that before you are given such permission to go and build and develop, the agencies of government who are saddled with responsibility to go and ensure that you are not building right of way should do their due diligence. And if you are going to do that, they can stop you. If you block the right of way of water, water would find its way on another level. That is currently what we are experiencing today. And government, I use the word government with all sense of responsibility, without referring to any office. Because I know that even before the advent of this imposition, we have a government. Before the advent of the suspended governor, we had a government.
Right.
The government in this case is the people, agencies and parastatals of government that runs even when you are expecting to have a change of leadership.
Right.
Should ensure that the right thing is done at all time. People should not be allowed to build in the right of way, and people should also be encouraged to desilt their waste. The sanitation agency that has been, it has stopped. We go to everywhere in Port Harcourt, go to Zoba, go to everywhere. You see waste on the median. Before now, we don't used to see that. So these are some of the things that, need to be addressed as soon as possible, because we are still expecting more rain to fall. And if things are not done, my sister, in fact, I'm not sure you have that leeway to come to the office freely when you want to come to the office.
All right. Before I give Govt Power the floor, you made a comment in passing that gave rise to Govt Power wanting to interject.
Okay.
And I want to ask you a direct question with regards to that, because now you talked about government and you said that you do not recognize and acknowledge the position of a sole administrator in place of an elected governor. And you said it was illegal because he is not.
I said it is, not was. I said it is. It still is.
You said that he is not appointed by the people.
He's not elected by the
on
people.
The mandate of the people. So now the question would be: was there a government in Rivers State prior to the appointment of sole administrator and declaration of state of emergency? Would one say there is a government? Because the argument has always been democracy. What's the difference between democracy and military rule or civilian rule, as it were, would be the presence of a legislature.
Yes.
Right, because in democracy, in civilian rule, you see the executive and the judiciary. Military rule, you see a military ruler and the judiciary, but there will always be an absence of the legislature. But in democracy, it's legislature. Yes. In Rivers State, last time I checked, Rivers State legislature has 32 seats. And you're talking about representation and people having a say in governance. Last time I checked, 2024 budget was passed with only 4 constituencies being represented. Okay. And the remaining constituencies, I said 2024.
Okay.
2024.
Okay.
I know what I'm saying.
Yes.
And about 4 and about 28 constituencies we are cut off completely. No form of representation. And in 2025, January, last time I checked, 3 constituencies had only represented, that they say, in the entirety of the budget of Rivers State. And about 29 completely was cut off. And how do we say that is governance? How do we say the people had a say? Can you tell me the constituencies that were represented in one of the most important moves of the executive in the state?
Now, thank you for that
Not forgetting,
question.
by the way,
now,
that the Supreme Court in their judgment said that there was no governance.
Now, I'm happy that you brought us to this.
Yes.
Let me skip all the long history.
Yeah.
Let's move straight to the verdict of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court made a pronouncement, and the Supreme Court stated categorically in clear language that this is what they feel was in place. I'm coming. But that was what I'm coming. That this is what it is according to the Supreme Court. According to the Supreme Court. Having said that, there was a judgment and a pronouncement. And from that moment, that pronouncement becomes what it is and what should be in Rivers State.
Okay.
The Supreme Court never stated that the president should go and suspend the governor and the president should go and declare state of emergency. The Supreme Court made a pronouncement and said there was no governance, there was no government in place of Rivers State.
All right.
But going forward, this is our judgment and verdict. You go and do this, you go and do this. And the moves were already in place. The State of Assembly, they resumed. In fact, they had about 2 or 3 sittings where they even invited the governor to come. So when you say that there was no House of Assembly before the declaration and suspension, I do not think you will be. I do not think that is the correct position.
So what is the correct position?
The correct position is this.
I made clear reference to 2024.
Yeah, that was before the pronouncement of court.
Budget.
That was pronouncement of that was before the pronouncement of court. I don't want to be sounding like I'm just going back and forth. The pronouncement of court is there was no government in place.
All right.
And now this is our position. You go and resume, you go and do this. And the State of Assembly, they sat. I stand to be corrected. The State of Assembly, they sat. And they made a pronouncement by inviting the governor to come and present the 2025 budget. So the president did not even respect the decision of the Supreme Court. Right. Because the Supreme Court they never said in a proclamation that go and suspend the governor. What the Supreme Court said is there was no government in place, but now this is our position. Martins, go and sit as speaker. Governor, go and represent the 2025 budget.
2024.
No, it was 2025 expressly. You can do your research.
All right.
The Supreme Court never mentioned 2024. Please let us be factual.
Mufasa, very well. My point exactly was not the House of Assembly sitting. My point was in direct reference to you saying that there is no government currently in Rivers.
There's no government.
And my point was you talking about no government and bringing the people into it.
But
I made a clear reference that for 2 years or a year plus, Rivers State ran without a government.
According to the Supreme Court.
Hold on. And the people did not have a say in what happens in their constituencies, in their communities and local government.
So the people having a say now?
That was a reality that happened. God's power, now you have the floor before we move over to the next one.
Torrential, I think as people that are always on a platform, lending their voices on issues concerning the people, I want to appeal that we use the utmost, decorum to, identify a government and respect constituted authority. Mufasa cannot sit here and say that he do not recognize a government in Rivers State. And that, to me, is the height of insincerity. I must say.
That's his opinion.
No. Laurentia, I'm very well aware that Mufasa was not in Ethiopia before the Supreme Court judgment. I'm very much aware and certain that he has been lending his voices on these particular issues before the Supreme Court judgment. I know his position then. Laurentia, Mufasa cannot tell me that I am from Kano, particularly constituency 1. My representative was not in a place where they were deciding on how they will spend a budget of my state. He is talking about the people. Everybody, about 5 million Rivers people, cannot go to House of Assembly at the same time. That is why we have representative. You said here that for 2 years, there was no government in Rivers State. Yes, peace has come, but you must lay a foundation why there is a sole administration in Rivers State. How can you, out of 32, yes, 1 died, unfortunately, and we're having 31 members in the House. Among 31 members, you choose to deal with only 4. Later, it became 3. And you're telling me about democracy, constitution. How many times do the Federal High Court and Appeal Court give judgments that you should respect these people as assembly members? How many times? And these judgments were repeatedly disobeyed and disregarded. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
Yes, I got you.
How many times? So prior to the Supreme Court judgment, there have been no government in Rivers State. Yes, I can say so. Because for all the budget that has been passed, Court of Competent Jurisdiction has always said that it is wrong to pass this budget with 4 and 3 persons. Now, the Supreme Court judgment came. Laurentia, the very day that Supreme Court gave that judgment, everybody in Rivers State and Nigeria heard about the judgment. Now, the governor, then suspended now, said that he was going to wait for the certified true copy of that judgment before he will act upon it. And meanwhile, he has gone to act on one of the clauses in the judgment by removing the chairman that was put by him undemocratically. The Supreme Court said so. He has removed them. So while waiting to implement them, and these are assembly members that have suffered for over a year without salary and allowances, and you just wake up one morning and say you want to present budget, and when they gave you 48 hours to present budget, you did not do that. You just wake up one morning because we are going to body to commission a project. You just stop by and act drama. I don't want to go about all this because there is peace now. But what I'm saying is that the sole administration in Rivers State is a product of the crisis that we had in Rivers State. Yes, you said that there was no point bringing a sole administrator. Mufasa, let me tell you that you are seated here now discussing about Rivers State and the people that you say. What if they have been blocked back? If the threats by those that were supporting the Supreme Governor has been carried out? Yes, we saw it. Video were being circulated on the social media, how they're going to bomb all installations, how they're going to disrupt the peace in Rivers State. What if the president has not taken this proactive measure to curb the crisis that would have taken lives and properties in Rivers State? And my happiness today is that Sim had also said that, yes, the president saved him by declaring state of emergency in Rivers State. So from now, Mufasa, Sim have told you, he told you that he is happy that a state of emergency was declared in Rivers State. So I wonder why you are standing.
All right,
you know.
All right.